Okay, we'll call to order this December the 4th, 2019 meeting of the Franklin County Commission. Roll call.
Commissioner Stottlemyre.
Present.
Commissioner Waymire.
Present.
Chair Howard.
Present.
Vice Chair Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Dunn.
Present.
You'd all stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation that will be led by David Lee. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your head. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to work on behalf of the citizens of Franklin County. Please guide us and direct us in our efforts. After all of the folks out working for the citizens of the county.
Thank you, David. Anything on correspondence, organizational business?
No, sir.
Any public comment? This is going to be a short one today, guys. Okay, takes consent agenda items today that on the consent agenda need to be considered and approved are tax change orders in the amount of a minus $16,086.91 and commission meeting minutes for November the 27th, 2019. We look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motions are second.
Second.
Stottlemyre.
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire.
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn.
Yes.
Chair Howard.
Yes. Okay, takes us to item business. We only have one item of business today. It is considered holding a budget hearing to amend the 2019 Franklin County budget.
So as you guys can see, that it's attached to your budget, and we have two departments that are going to exceed their budget authority this year and needed to do a slight budget amendment. That one is a levied tax fund and the other one is an enterprise fund, so there's no levied taxes in it. Both of them do have income aside from levied taxes. Ambulance also gets service revenue. And that's part of the reason that we're doing the amendment for ambulance is the service revenue they received this year was more than what they expected. And they also, to meet the demand, they had additional salaries that they had to pay out to. So it is a slight increase in both expenditures and revenues in ambulance. And then likewise in solid waste, their bill for Hams, who moves the trash out of the transfer station, was substantially higher than what we budgeted for, but offsetting that, the fees that the haulers pay was up also to offset that. So those are the two amendments that we're presenting today.
We'll want to open up a public hearing, and I think Janet did a great job of explaining it, but just to make sure it's abundantly clear, this is not a poor reflection whatsoever on either of these departments. These are both situations that we couldn't have anticipated, and frankly, the increased revenue completely offsets it. So we'll have a in-detail discussion here in a couple months once we have our audit done, but I think our 2019 budget is it looks fantastic. So very happy with where that's at.
Say hauling more trash is a direct reflection of increasing the economy. I mean, more people buying things, throwing things away, just more activity, more trash. So.
Yep.
We won't have any other need for a budget adjustment the rest of the year.
No, we did it today, so we'll be ready to do your budget transfer amendment on the meeting of the 18th, which should be the last meeting of the year, if barring nothing else coming up. So because the 25th is the last Wednesday of the month, and that's a holiday, so.
With that, I would look for a motion to open a public budget hearing on the amended 2019 budget.
Make that motion to open the hearing.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, the public hearing is now open. Have anyone who wants to make any comments on the amended budget or any statements? No? Okay, last for the second time. Is there anyone that wants to make any comments or statements on the amended budget? It's not. Do I need a motion to close it? Okay, would look for a motion to close the public budget hearing.
So moved.
Motions are second.
Second. Go ahead.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yeah.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, anyone here have any questions on this? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve the amended 2019 Franklin County budget as presented. Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Stottlemyre?
Yes.
Commissioner Waymire?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Chair Howard?
Yes. Okay, that takes us to the end of the items of business. So with that, I guess we'll go to staff reports. Derek?
Yeah, just thinking about the budget a little bit, something that I think Janet and I have discovered the last couple of years. This is kind of a difficult time because we're closing out the year, and a lot of our departments they have a lot of excess funds, and trying to find that balance between the right amount of carryover to assist us next year versus kind of filling out some of the needs that the departments have. Leads to a lot of there's a lot of discussion this time of year on how money needs to be spent, what money needs to be carried over, and so but it's went really well. I mean, I think everyone realizes what we're building towards, where we'd like to have our reserves, and certainly pleased with what we're going to be able to carry over this year. So I'm excited to get Rodney up here just to see where our balances are officially at after 19, and then we'll keep working forward, so.
If I could add to that, all the department heads that I talked to about their budget, they're definitely looking forward, not just as a whole of the county, but as individual budgets, planning for the future, and can I find ways to save now so that it makes a larger project that I know is coming a little bit easier. I think we have several department heads that are looking at projects that they know are coming up, and they're looking for ways within their own budget to spend that, to find those funds. So I think our department heads, like Derek said, are all working really hard on their budgets.
The only other thing is, and you might talk about this, Rick, and Paul might, but obviously we were at an FCDC meeting yesterday. Really excited for where that organization is at and where it's going. And, you and I know that the last year or so was rough, but there's been so much activity in a short amount of time, and obviously that can basically all be attributed to Paul. But just looking where we're at on Proximity Park, and there's some interest there, and you go out there and it's beautiful. So I don't know, I'm excited to see where we're at. Certainly, I don't want to put a timeline on it, but we know there's interest, and we know that we're working hard to bring more in, so.
I agree, and I will get to Paul a little later if he wants to talk about it a little bit too, so.
That's it.
Sheriff?
I went to attended the Pomona City Council meeting. We're still discussing some of the things that we're, an agreement we need to get in place as far as what we do with their city warrants and how that's all gonna work. So we're having some of those conversations, and they're looking at their court fine system and everything that's in place there. They're a little behind on that. It was last updated, I believe, in 2003, and so that's why we're kind of having some discussions on all of that. We are at 68 in-house today, and we are down to only having 10 farmed out. So we're getting better, but we're still paying to farm out. So that's just an issue we got to deal with, I guess, so.
Times have changed. I can remember back in my time on the PD, seeing Shawnee County bring in a whole van full and take out a van full on a pretty much daily basis, but it was great when they were bringing them to us and paying us. Now it's shoes on the other
Now
foot.
it's the other way around, yeah, and we're paying places that probably don't really need the money, so.
Yeah.
Kind of the way it is, so. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer.
So,
Nice to see you back in uniform.
us- David?
Okay, so the work that Kilo Construction was doing, working on Rock Creek Road in Tennessee, they did some patching for us. That work has been completed. I think if you drive down those roads and the folks that live in those areas and utilize those stretches of road will be very pleased with the work and the driving service that they now have. So hopefully that will last a while and we'll be able to enjoy that. We're a couple of days away from completing the Nevada Road and Haskell Road intersection project. We've made significant improvements to that area. We're still hauling in a little bit of material, and we have the road rock that we still need to put on, but that's real close. We finished the abutment work on the Nevada Road Bridge south of I-35, but we just started another bridge abutment issue on John Brown east of Iowa. We hauled about 15 loads of material in yesterday, and we'll be placing that and shoring that abutment area up today, and hopefully we'll finish today, but it may be by the end of the week we should be done with that. We closed a portion of Oregon Road north of Rock Creek this morning. We've got some ditch work that needs to be addressed there due to the all the rain and the material that's washed into that ditch. We need to get in there, remove that material, rebuild the ditches. So that's going to take us a couple of days to do. And while we bring that material up on the edge of the road, while we're hoping to reutilize it, we'll have the road closed. So it'll be closed a day or two for that project. Also today, we are starting the Eisenhower Road project south of Haskell. We've got some severe drainage issues there as well that we've already upsized one of the crossroad tubes. We're working with, as I mentioned last week, working with the RCS office and the local farmer to redo some terraces. The location of those where where the water's coming out into the right-of-way. And then downstream of that, we are going to be rebuilding some ditches in a creek area. We're going to be cleaning a lot of material out and taking care of that, and also installing an overflow tube that will help during heavy rainfall events. So those two are the kind of the major projects that we've got going on right now. Once we finish with these, we've got another significant washout issue on the side of the road on the north side of Haskell between Oregon and Ohio. There's some very deep cuts adjacent to the road that's we want to definitely get addressed before the snow comes. So we are trying to address as many of these types of issues as we can while the weather's nice. And we've got, seems like we've got every piece of equipment and, out operating and trying to get these things taken care of. So it's really amazing what our folks can do when they get a little sunshine and a little time. So that's kind of what we've been working on and what we're going to be working on the next week or so.
What about the mowing?
We've made it around at least one pass on all the roads. Now we haven't mowed back to the edge of the right-of-way everywhere. Our intent was to at least get a swath on the edge of the road so that when the snow does come, that we don't get It'll help prevent some of the drifting issues by getting rid of that tall grass next to the road. So but we continue to battle it.
Jen?
Just next week, Betsy and Debbie will be here taking care of the meetings, so if you need anything at all, they'll be happy to help with whatever you need, so.
Is the staff reports? Paul, you have anything you want to share with us?
I just shared that, on what Eric said, we've got,
Thank you.
sorry. We do have interest in Proximity Park, and I was doing an interview yesterday on the radio, and I said, unfortunately, we can't tell you all the details and all that's going on, but it's important for people to understand there is interest. And we are fielding inquiries, and I think something will happen at some point in time. We just never know when, but it is exciting to see that interest, and I think it's important for the community to understand there is interest, and there are things happening at Proximity Park, so we're very excited about that.
What's going on out there now? What are they doing?
They've just finished up the electrical work, and the last thing going in out there now is the sewer, and that should be done in the springtime. So they've got the water and the power, all the infrastructure done except for the sewers, and that should be done in the early spring. We're ready to rock and roll. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll also echo Derek's comments. I'm excited about where that FCDC is going to. I think it proved that ever want to rush into something and things work itself out and stay in for the long run, and patience is a good word, and I think that's what we did, and that's how we ended with Paul, which I think is excellent. I think that's what a lot of people need to understand, and Proximity Park's kind of the same way. It's going to be a process, and by having patience out there, hopefully we get the right fit, so.
Well, and I don't, just to chime in, the public doesn't want us to rush on Proximity Park. That's a $30 million investment of taxpayer dollars. I think we're all anxious to see something, but we're not anxious to see anything. I mean, there are good fits and bad fits, and there are companies that bring different values that would add to the community, different types of jobs. I mean, it may very well be the case that, we have companies that want the park, but maybe we don't want them. I mean, I don't know how that's going to look, but I would just ask for, when that time comes, understanding that it's got to be a good fit both ways. I mean, the park is still under construction. I mean, on the grand timeline, we're still very early into this, so.
Absent the park being there, there's just no opportunity. Nobody's going to buy land, put in infrastructure themselves and develop it. Like, it's incredibly rare, especially now, more than ever. But because it is there, there's opportunity. If we just wanted to stick somebody in that park, we probably could have a chicken plant there right now. We probably could have, those things aren't hard to,
Hey, take us to commissioner comments and board reports. We'll start out today with
The only thing I was at was went to the city of Princeton, a council meeting on Monday evening. They had a very short meeting, actually, basically just staff reports, and then the only other thing they're working on is trying to, they're gonna have to take their code and simplify it to help with the code enforcement. So that's something they're gonna try to do without it costing them several $1,000s, so. And then they will have they have a community Christmas chili supper, Santa Claus, I think it's this Saturday evening. And the only other thing is I was glad that Mother Nature was a little bit kind to us on Thanksgiving, where we did not get the weather that was anticipated for our county, which meant that none of our county road people had to come in on Thanksgiving, although they were all willing to do that if that was what we needed in this county. So I do appreciate them and their willingness.
All right.
Which way are you going?
I'm going this way. We'll wait for Roy.
You're loud.
nothing to add.
Roy, we're already back to you.
I was gonna ask Janet to kind of refresh my memory on tax change orders. When we get a big one, like the 15,000, what does that mean? Or what is it? Or
So it could be any number of things. So right now, the reason why you see a lot of them right now is because for pretty much half of September and all of October, and well, at this point, all of November, all the tax rolls were on hold because we can't make any changes to the tax rolls between the time that we're setting the tax levies and we're certifying all of the tax levies, getting all the statements printed. We can't make any changes to the tax rolls until the state approves us to do that. The state approved us late last week to make changes to the tax rolls. So Jamie for our appraiser, had some Board of Tax Appeals decisions that were waiting to be applied to the tax rolls. And you are certainly welcome to look through those if you have not yet. We had a couple of appeals by some businesses. We had ECAN filed for some tax exemptions on some properties. So depending on when a tax exemption order comes through or a change order on a property, making a lower value that's going to negative impact the taxes on our side, depending on when those come through, then they may all get done at once. So like right now, having negative $16,000 is a direct reflection of the tax rolls being closed for close to 3 months while we were processing the tax rolls and getting everything ready. Those slow down throughout the year and you just get a few here and there. But there are various times that we'll have a large amount like that. They're usually at times where we've had value appeals or people get their tax statements and go, whoa, what happened? I don't have that anymore, or something like that. So, yep.
Nation.
Else,
That's all.
we'll see.
Come up with something.
Okay, Monday I attended Williamsburg City Council. It was a fairly long meeting, but it was a typical meeting. Their unfinished business, discussed a lot of the same stuff each month. Talked about the street project again, office furniture, computer updates, improvements to City Hall, and they sold a couple generators on Purple Wave, talked about that. And the new business, the main issue that they had was they went to an online process of being able to pay your water bill. They had some people got delinquent notices or got penalties on their water bill, and they were paying them like later at night on the 15th when they were supposed to be in, but it didn't come up right, and they ended up getting billed. So they discussed that and getting that worked out, changing the ordinance. So if someone does pay on the 15th, even if it is before midnight, it's still on the 15th, and they're not assessed a late penalty. They talked about some delinquent accounts and how they're going to deal with those. Had an individual need a sewer clean out put on his sewer, and they talked about getting that done. And that was the main thing. Then yesterday I attended the FCDC Executive Board meeting. I was supposed to have an audit report. The auditor was not able to be there. He had an emergency, so he wasn't there, but they did get past the information that the audit looked really good, and it was approved. Talked about the spending limit for the director, and the main thing, you can chime in anytime, either one of you, but the main thing that in director updates that talked about marketing was the workforce development. Dr. Cobb's doing a lot out there at the school to help with the workforce development, as is Paul and everybody involved. But Dr. Cobb's talked about it. He'd got a hold of numerous superintendents in the surrounding area, from Lawrence to Kansas City, Waverly, all around us. And anyway, had response from several of them. He didn't actually send out the thing to the Kansas City and Lawrence superintendents, but some of the others in the area, I don't remember exactly how many said he sent out, but all he sent out responded. And what they're going to do is like get together. They're going to meet and talk about how to work on that, and they bring in some of those schools to meet with some of the businesses and basically let the kids know what they need and what they can work on and get the schools involved. So he's doing a lot in the workforce development out at the school. So that was the two things I attended since the last meeting. With that, we have a study session scheduled for next Monday, a commission meeting on the 11th. That's all I see in the upcoming events. Anybody have anything else? Okay, if not, we'd look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.